This is the Algo Futures 7 weekly market roundup, and this is AFT 7 for NinjaTrader 7. I'm taking a look at some of the trades here in the Dow Micro from this past week here. This was Wednesday's trading action. You should know by now, if you've been following us, this is an opening morning breakout strategy, and it's can be semi-automated or fully automated. I use it in a semi-automated fashion, and I'll show you how as we cover a couple of trades from the Dow Micro this past week here. So this template is built in. It's ready to go right out of the box. This is trading 3 micro lots. And you can see this shaded area here, this is no trade zone. You can watch the prior videos as we go through all the parts of the system and everything. But basically, we're looking for the market to break out of this no trade zone. And you can see on Wednesday, it broke out to the downside, and we got executed here. The protective stop initially will be on the opposite end of the no trade zone. All right, and you can see it took about 15 minutes for this thing to kind of get going. And you see these are all the signals, short signals that are, can be fully automated. What we do is, or what I do is, if I'm looking to trade this only to the short side, and there's a few things that I'm going to look at before I make a decision whether to set this thing in the morning to trade, both long and short, or just trade to the short side, or just trade to the long side. So on Wednesday, we set this up in semi-autonomous mode and just clicked next short, and then you turn the automatic trading on. And once you've done that, you're done. So what the software does then, it sees that and will only execute short trades. In fact, it will only execute the next short trade that sets up. In this case, it was the first trade in that particular morning. So this is done before the market opens. Once it's done, the software is going to do all the heavy lifting at that point. So it executed the trade, sent that to the software to execute. The stop comes out, and it's then going to have a first target, which you see there, the profit target 1 right there is taking 2 contracts off, and then the final contract trails on a trailing stop. And you can see that last contract got taken out here. It's been a choppy, even though the market's been trending higher, it's been trending lower. They've been very, very choppy kind of trends. So it's difficult to stay in as a short-term, day trader and capture, a good piece of the range anyway. But that was a decent trade on Wednesday. And then on Friday, if I can go back here and pull Friday's action. So this is Sunday evening. You can see this is the no trade zone Sunday evening as I'm speaking here. The market opened, futures opened, and you can see that it broke the bottom of the no trade zone, and the market just is in a world of hurt Sunday evening. But let's just go back to Friday. Friday, I'll kind of walk through this one in a little more detail to look at some of the other tools that I'm looking at before the market opens. There's many ways to trade this. There's not just one way to trade this. Like I said, you can do it fully automated, and we have the stats on the full automation and how that is doing in the different markets. But we prefer, what we call man with machine, because there's things you can see with your, with the human eye that the software, can't. And so this was Friday's action in the Dow. And what I was looking at before the market opened, in fact, I'll show you from our, bring this in here, our Discord server. So we have what we call our trading floor here, and this is free. You can come in. I start usually about 9 o'clock, and I just said this was Friday. This was 9:08 Eastern time, and I just said it looks like we may open with some small outside gaps to the upside. Right, still a lot of time before the open. We'll see if it holds. And that would give us a long bias, as long gap bias, as long as they don't trade inside of the previous day's range or previous day's high in that first few minutes after the open. And I said the alpha bias or AB trends are up. The Dow is stronger and small caps are weaker at the moment. All right, so how did I know that, or how did I, well, if you go to a tool, that's alphawebtrader.com. This is AlphaWebTrader, and this is what I take a look at in the morning before the market opens to give me an idea of what markets do I want to trade, which direction do I want to trade. So a couple of things that I'm looking at here, if you see this little gap column here, and it says OGU, right? That stands for outside gap up. And on Friday, the Dow, right, which is right here, said outside gap up, and you see how this is green. That tells me that it is has a long bias, because when a market gaps up outside the prior day's range, the tendency is that market wants to trend, usually for the morning, sometimes for the whole day. And so it's a day we don't anticipate they're going to try to fill the gaps. All right, so the other piece that I was looking at is obviously the trends. See how this is Sunday evening now, and it says trend down chop in the NASDAQ mid caps. It says trend down. On Friday, this was the opposite. It was saying, trends up. And if you look at the alpha bias here, where it says Dow, you've got NASDAQ, you've got S&P, small cap and mid cap. This is, see this TSI, that's your trend strength index. So it's saying, of all these weak markets right now, Sunday evening, the Dow is the strongest of the weak markets. Then your NASDAQ, your S&P, your small cap and your mid cap are the weakest. So if you were going to short something, Sunday evening, once it broke, or if you're looking for a breakout to the downside, in this case, since the trends are down, you would probably want to short the weakest markets, right? So that would be your small and mid caps. It's probably not a good idea to try to short the Dow, which is the strongest market. It's probably not going to be the easiest trade anyway. Now in this case, everything kind of fell together. But so on Friday, it was just the opposite. Trends were up. And the Dow, though, the Dow was still the strongest market. So we'd like to take, if we're going to get long, the strongest market. So these are just a couple of pieces of information that we were looking at. There's a lot of other stuff in here. You've got your economic news that's coming out. We have what we call our trendometer. Right, that's another, get a good snapshot of the trend and trend strength. The gap bias, I already gave you a snapshot of that, but that's these markets here and what the gap is. We've got signals. Here's the stats. So you can go through the stats, the baseline algo trading system stats. All right, and so you can see the different categories here. So you can see how, if you just turn this on fully automated and let the software do all the trading, what do the results look like in the different markets? Here's the baseline system for the energy, cryptos, right, bigger time frames, and so on. So you can go through all that information, alphawebtrader.com. It's something that can really help your trading. So we get at least I get a snapshot of what the market's doing before it opens. So when I saw that on Friday, the Dow was the strongest market. It had an outside gap up, which told me it had a long bias, a long gap bias, and it's a market that probably wants to trend. And so what I did is came over to the Dow here, and I turned the next long. So I click this next long box, unclick so in this case it says no short. I don't want to take short trades. It's got a long bias and it's the strongest market. I don't want to short it. I want to go long. So I just check the long box and then turn automatic trading on. From there, once the market opened, it did everything else. Now in this case, it broke out and we got long, hit the first target, didn't get any follow through beyond that, very far beyond that first target, pulled back and we got stopped on a trailing stop on the last, but in profit. So all in all, not a bad trade. Now, again, it was a very choppy day, and you can see initially before what happened is later, after we got taken out, the market continued to trend. So it wasn't an easy, just out of the gate move higher. It had a pretty strong pullback and then just kept going higher, although it was a very, very choppy uptrend after that. But anyway, just to give you an idea of what we do in the Discord server, you can come in. This is free. And links are all below to download the software, sign up for the Discord server, come into the trading floor, and we look at the same things that I just showed you each morning before the market opens and try to pick what direction we want to trade in and what market we want to trade. All right, hope that's helpful. All right, we'll do it all again next week.